Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest podcast. So, we are Angela and Karen, and today we're going to talk about the menopause. So, what's menopause? Well, menopause is a time in a woman's life when her ovaries stop producing the hormones that are responsible for reproduction. And anybody that's gone through the menopause or is going through the menopause certainly will know about it. Usually occurs from the age of roughly 40, most notably between sort of 45 and 55 years old. However, it can also occur much earlier in a woman's life, and it can occur for other reasons than the natural aging process. So that might be removal of ovaries or some other surgery. But it is a natural process for most women, and most women experience some similar symptoms, but can experience it very differently.
Yeah, I always think of a scale really, because some women seem to go through it almost unscathed, don't they? And then you have the poor souls who really have every symptom and suffer, and then there's all sorts of shades of discomfort, or just whatever you want to call it, in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
So traditional thought is that menopause has occurred when it's been 12 months since the last period. Perimenopause is the period prior to your period stopping and prior to the definition of menopause, and it's at that point normally that women would start to experience symptoms, and it's a huge list of potential symptoms that people might struggle with.
There's so many, aren't there? So many.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it hasn't affected me yet. That's not true. That's not true. I remember so many of these symptoms. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of the lucky ones that sailed through it.
No, I've not sailed. I've not sailed
No.
yet.
It was more blogging along with divers' boots along the bottom of the ocean. Where's my oxygen tank?
Exactly.
Anyway, more accurately and more precisely,
Okay.
the symptoms can include things like stress and anxiety. And you might never have experienced those before, or you might have experienced them in a less severe form. So that might be the difference that you notice there. Hot flushes.
Oh, hot flushes. Oh, day and night.
Yeah.
Not just night sweats.
No.
Right.
I think that's a definite misconception, isn't it? That was not my experience at all, that they were an overnight thing.
Going into shops, coming out of shops, the number of times that I've taken my coat off, put my coat back on, scarf off, coat
I was just
off,
thinking the same
back
thing. It's coat on, coat off, coat on, coat off. Coat on in summer, coat off in winter. Anyway, mysterious aches and pains, and some of these things come with age anyway, but also the changes in our hormone levels can trigger those sorts of things in our bodies. Brain fog. Oh, wow. I genuinely thought I was going bonkers.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
All the things that I used to be able to do so easily, and things that I could plan and manage in my work life in particular, were just suddenly insurmountable for me.
Yeah, concentration.
Yeah, and you just literally sit there and you do feel like you're in a big cloud of fog, because you just genuinely can't move your brain forward. So that was one of the really, really unpleasant ones for me. It can affect our sleep, so we can become sufferers of insomnia. We can have mood swings, and obviously mood swings can come at any point during our menstrual life, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a whole other thing in menopause, I
think in menopause, one of the things that I know I've spoken to other people about as well is mood swings. They happen. You don't realise it's starting. Suddenly, you're in this completely different mood and you can't control it. You feel
I don't know why I'm laughing.
I mean, it's funny when you're not in it, but when you're in it, it's so difficult, because you know that what you're saying, what you're doing probably isn't right and is affecting other people around you, but you can't stop yourself.
No.
And I think it's very hard for anybody that doesn't experience that to actually understand how that feels.
I mean, my menopause was some years ago now, but I think the whole societal expectation can make it so much worse. I don't think, particularly then, I don't know if it's much better now really, but there really wasn't any understanding of why a woman might suddenly start behaving so strangely.
Yes.
Why your behaviour at work might be so different, or your interactions with your family or whatever. So I think there's a lot of things about... Not only, I don't just mean men, I mean women who aren't in the place of being affected by those symptoms.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Just really can't understand it. There's more. That wasn't enough. There's more. Weight gain, hair loss, palpitations. Oh, itchy skin.
Itchy skin.
Can you tell which ones were all mine? I'm getting lack of motivation, and also a reduced sex drive as well is really, really common for women at that time in their life.
Yeah.
And so with all of these, you may get some, you may get all, or none. As I said, that's possible. But with all of these sorts of roller coaster of things going on in your life, it's not surprising that it can affect both our work and our personal lives, our relationships and our friendships, how confident we feel about ourselves, how motivated we are to cope with our daily lives. It might cause people to take a pause in their career, for example, just because they can't compete in the way or be as efficient as they've previously been.
Or even change their career completely.
Yes, yeah. Maybe you may decide not to take a dream trip or something that you've been planning for a long time again because you don't feel you've got the energy or the enthusiasm that you used to have.
Yeah.
Some people fall out of love, marriages break down.
They do.
And I like this one, and this make you giggle, but I think it can make you dislike people that you actually viewed quite fondly in the past.
Yeah, I think you can change certainly your maybe your patience around some people.
I think tolerance is another word as well.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Yeah.
And I think for all of these things as well, it's sort of really important to understand that for some people it's very difficult to work out what the right solution is for this for them, and even people who have been really fit in the past, who have been very slim in the past, will struggle with maintaining their weight, with losing weight, with being able to go out and do the exercises, the activities they used to do. And it's not as easy as saying, well, just up the amount of exercise you do and eat less.
Or pull yourself together.
Which lots of people say.
Yeah.
And it isn't as easy as that, because it's this whole hormone.
I think that your whole attitudes and moods and the way you feel and the way your body responds is just everything can change, can't it?
Can
it's
change hugely.
Really tough.
But I think it's probably important to note as well that once you get through it, it can change you in a positive way, so you can feel better. You might not.
It's part of a woman's life journey, isn't it? And I find it helpful to look at it in that way, actually. In some ways it may not be the most pleasant at the time, but it is part of the story of our lives, isn't it? And you know, it changes us in the ways that having babies changes us, or whatever. It's the story, it's the meandering river of our life story, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
But it can be tough. It can make you reduce your goals. It can make you maybe lower expectations. And, you know, if it affects your work capacity, it might affect financial aspects of your life as well.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I find really interesting here is quite often I find that clients don't present and say, oh, I'm really perimenopausal, or I'm troubled by menopause symptoms. Quite often they will suddenly say, oh, I'm finding it so hard to concentrate and sleep at the moment. And you know, suddenly it's not, even if you're in that place, it's quite possible to be perimenopause or suffering with those symptoms and not actually realise that that's what's happening.
I think that happens to so many women, because there's so many women who will talk about this and say, and suddenly I had a light bulb moment. I was talking to someone and they said, have you spoken to your GP about the menopause? You know, and suddenly they think, oh, really? So everything that's happening to me, it could just be that's what's happening. I'm going through the menopause, you know, or I'm perimenopause, or depending on how you know,
wherever you are,
in that sort of.
And it's strange because most women know that there is a menopause, isn't there? But
Yeah.
I guess, is it one of those things that we always think is going to happen to other people? I don't know. But very common that people are turning up with symptoms, and actually that's probably what the reason is behind the scenes.
Very much so. And I completely understand that, because I went to see somebody for a completely different reason many years ago, probably about 12 years ago. And they actually told me at that point, oh, you're perimenopausal. And I didn't take any notice of it.
Okay.
I just said, oh, okay. I just thought, oh, you're leading up to the menopause. Not realising, because nothing, I mean, it's quite a talked about subject these days. It's becoming more acknowledged. But at that time it wasn't. And so all of the symptoms that I then started to get, I didn't relate to that. I wasn't relating it to it.
We're on I believe we're on a really good road in terms of understanding this and the impact on women's lives. we've still got a long way to go.
I think
there,
we've got a
haven't
long way
we?
to
We
go.
really, really have. There's not enough awareness. I'm not even convinced there's necessarily enough help readily available.
No.
But
No,
anyway.
I would agree with that. But we're on the right track now
Yeah, we
in
definitely
terms
are.
of getting there.
We
and
definitely
you know,
Yeah.
even we are talking about this now. So
Yes.
that's
Well, even me and you.
even we are talking about it. So, oh dear. But there we go. I mean, in terms of hypnotherapy and the work that we do, and I think in many respects the coaching as well, can help with a lot of the symptoms that women are suffering with around this. And also, I would like to say at this point as well, that hypnotherapy and coaching can help with the way men are able to deal with and cope with the changes that are happening for the women in their life around this subject.
Because it must be really hard to see someone that you live with and that you love either suffering with something or changing as a consequence of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they may sit there and think, what have I done? Is it me?
Yeah, my slippers are in the oven again.
I'm being shouted at every day. What have I done? And actually there needs to be a much sort of more understanding for men out there as well as for women to understand what's going on. So I think and so all of these symptoms, so with hypnotherapy certainly it can help with reducing anxiety, with increasing self-esteem, which we can lose, with reducing pain, things like weight management and sleep management. So using techniques that we talk about, sort of, for instance, visualization techniques, which people can do on their own, but I think it's more effective if you are with somebody who is helping you and guiding you through that. I mean, we've talked about things like hot flushes, for example, so doing some visualization around being in a very cool place. I think I mentioned the Antarctica, and you mentioned putting your feet in a pool.
I just think,
a nice cool pool.
As soon as we say cool, you're off to the Antarctic. I'm putting my feet in a river.
Which probably shows how extreme my hot flushes have been.
And also, we're not the same, are we?
We're not the same.
We might sound the same, apparently. Someone told you we sound the same, don't they? Yeah. But we really don't quite think the same.
No. So there are lots of and there are techniques that you can do at home. So breathing exercises that you can do for reducing anxiety,
meditation and mindfulness, and easily done at home with through things like YouTube. I find it can be a real help to people if they're trying to do stuff independently and at home with using their own resources.
Yeah, totally. And then consider doing things that we talk about quite a lot in the podcast, which is just the usual sort of healthy living and mental well-being things, which include trying to get as much rest as possible, eating good nutritional food as much as you possibly can, activity levels, upping those, dancing while you're cooking, all of those things that we talk about, chatting with friends, enjoying
all those lovely social things, as you say, we've talked about in previous podcasts, haven't we?
Yeah. Or visiting your GP, or a nurse specialist, somebody who knows a lot about the menopause. I know there are. It's becoming more known that there are people in doctor surgeries nowadays and practices where there may be one person who specialises in the menopause that you can go and talk to. And there are lots of other resources out there. So looking on the internet, you can find different websites that will have information around the menopause. So the NHS does. They've got quite a bit on there about it if you just type NHS in. And then there's websites like Menopause Matters and menopause cafes that are sort of popping up all over the country that you can join in with. Facebook pages, there's groups on Facebook. There's one called Rock My Menopause.
I love that title.
It's great, isn't it?
I think that's very clever.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then
I wish I'd been able to rock my menopause.
Yeah, this is true. I wish I was rocking mine. I think some days I rock it. Not every day.
Yeah,
not every day.
I don't think I did. But look at me now. There's some good reading stuff as well.
Good literature out there.
Yeah.
There's
It's getting better all the time.
it is getting better. There's so many. There are quite a lot of books out there now. I think we've just sort of identified two that are one of them is the Divinum Call book called Menopause, which is really interesting, and it's quite. I know a few people who have read it now who have said that they just hadn't realised at all that this might be what they're going through. So that's quite a revolutionary book in terms of, it's got lots of different people's stories in it, which is really helpful because you can sort of relate to maybe one or two of them. And it's sort of helpful for lots of people.
I think it always de-stresses a situation if you know that you are not the only one.
That's right, yeah, absolutely.
Because I think when brain fog, etc. can start, you can genuinely think that you're going around the bend, can't you?
You can.
And so to hear other people have the same symptoms and are surviving it is very comforting.
And there's such a lot of good advice in there as well.
Yeah.
An explanation on what's going on. Yeah.
I particularly like Sophie Fletcher, who's also a hypnotherapist, and she has a great book called Mindful Menopause, and I'm reading that again at the moment. Yeah, so she's great.
So lots of handy tips and helpful things.
And again,
advice.
it's just the explanation around what's going on.
Yeah, really helpful.
And speaking of that, what are you and me doing? So we're looking at writing a course at the moment to help women as they head towards menopause. So this would be as perhaps these symptoms are beginning or even just before they start, just to try and help people understand the changes that are going on in their bodies and trying to give them some tools and techniques to help them prepare and then to cope as maybe symptoms become more serious. If anyone's interested in that, do feel free to contact us directly. We might talk about that again. It's entirely possible, isn't it? Who knows, really?
Who knows? And I think our idea is around doing this sort of as a group, so that there will be other people there.
There's a lot of power in the sharing, isn't
there? A lot of power.
It really is. Yeah. So that's exciting, isn't it?
That's good. It's going to be good fun, that.
Okay, I don't know how long we've been talking, Angela, but I think we probably covered most of the things that we wanted to say today.
I think we have. I think probably we might do another one around menopause, maybe a little bit later in the future as well, and especially once the course is up and running, so that we can talk about things. Because one of the things that I think about that is that we're going to learn more whilst doing the course anyway.
Of course.
I mean, we certainly have got tools and techniques that we can pass on and help people with through that, but we'll also learn from those people that come, I think.
I mean, I think anyone who's experienced those, whether they're perimenopause, whether they're technically over the menopause, but the symptoms can persist for some, persist
many years after.
Many years afterwards. So I think I feel quite passionately about helping people, but I do love the idea of helping people prepare for it.
Yeah.
Rather than the poor souls who wake up and suddenly they're in the middle of it with nothing to help them and no idea where to go. Yeah. So the idea of being able to help prevent that situation is, I'm very drawn to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our thoughts on menopause. And as we always do, Angela, I'm going to ask you now, what's been good since we did our last podcast?
What's been good? Lots of things have been good since we did our last podcast, actually.
One at a time.
A while ago.
Oh, that was my eyes, wasn't it? I was the delay here with my eye surgery. So.
That's right, actually, yeah. So what's been good? Well, there's been small things that have been good, and there have been bigger things that have been good. So let's start. So you will know this anyway, because I talked about this at the weekend, but our washing machine stopped working on Saturday.
Okay. And we're saying that's good?
No, we're not saying that's good.
Okay, you haven't finished, and I've interrupted
you. I have
you.
not finished yet.
Okay.
There's nothing good about your washing machine stopping working, apart from it meaning you don't have to do some washing for a while.
It doesn't go away, does it?
It doesn't go away. But it does go away if you listen to somebody who tells you that it may well be that the fuse has blown in the plug.
Ooh, okay.
And so I changed the fuse in the plug, and abracadabra,
wow.
The washing machine is working again.
And I would some kind soul.
No.
So, well, and that's a real girl power thing as well, isn't it?
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I was
okay. No, I get that one completely. And now you're back on top of your washing. That's brilliant. What else?
So that was really good. What else has been good? Let's have a think about this. So, well, I mean, we've had some beautiful days, and I've had some beautiful walks.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. It's been really sunny and lovely, which always puts you in a good mood. What else did we have? Yesterday was a really good day for lots of reasons, which started with the washing machine, I have to admit. I also saw my sister. I talk about my sister a lot, I know I do on here, but because she lives away, so when she comes,
It's extra special.
It's extra special, so I got to see her yesterday.
You don't love her more than you love me, though, do you?
Well, no.
Okay.
In a very different way.
Good answer. Okay, brilliant. Oh, good. I'm glad. You're very close, I know that, and so it's lovely.
Yeah, so that was really good. What else was there? Oh, I don't know.
Well, I do want another one.
Do you?
Yeah.
You want another one?
Anything from today?
Anything from today? What's happened today? Well, I did some cleaning today. That was good. That needed doing. I know people are probably thinking, that's not good, but it is.
I'm just going to say some of you what's been good. I'm a little odd this week. But you seem happy about them, and that's the point.
It's an achievement, isn't it?
It is.
You know, so for me, that's an achievement, and that is good. I've invested in a new laptop. That was good.
Okay.
Which is working, and I managed to. And for some people, they'll think this is a very easy thing to do, but I've managed to get all of my email accounts onto my new laptop all by myself.
I can see that that's satisfying. Definitely.
That was really good.
Yeah.
So they're my good things. I
Okay.
think.
Well done. I think they were excellent.
Thank you.
If a little odd.
Well, everybody,
But they're yours,
you
aren't
have
they?
to find the good wherever you can
Exactly
find
right.
them, don't you?
And your good wouldn't necessarily be mine, and vice versa. But you know.
Exactly. So, Karen, I'm going to ask you now. So, what's been positive and what have you been feeling grateful for?
Okay, so I guess the big one is I had my eye surgery just over 2 weeks ago, and I can't tell you how delighted I am with that. It still feels very odd because I can actually see the complete opposite of how I used to be able to see. So I can see all of the world until it's about 8 inches from my face, and it used to be the complete
The other
opposite.
way around.
So there's lots of adjustment, and I can feel my brain trying to reframe the way I do everything. But obviously, it's an amazing thing to have been able to have done. So I'm massively happy and excited still about that. Yeah, that's a biggie for me.
Brilliant.
I had Sunday lunch with a very good friend on Sunday. That was lovely. I don't know if anybody can guess who that was. That was a really nice day.
That was a wonderful day.
Wasn't it? Yeah. And got to play with your dog, which was great too. A lovely Oreo. I don't know if we've mentioned him before, but he deserves a mention, doesn't
I think we probably have mentioned him before.
he? Was it in connection with barking?
It may have been. But he loved having you around.
I liked being there. So that was really good. What else? I'm having I feel like I'm having a good week at work. I'm doing a week this week. I'm doing lots of pottering around jobs at home that I've been building up. I cleared out a big cupboard yesterday. This is a bit like you being excited about cleaning, isn't it? But I did clear a big cupboard out yesterday. It was very satisfying to, haul some stuff out and put it all back away and feel like it's a lot more ordered. So I think that's always good for our brain. It's good for my brain anyway to do that.
Declutters the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's been some of that going on as well at the moment.
Brilliant. That's easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't get excited about cleaning, but I get excited when I've done it.
Okay.
That's what was good.
I think it's off the to-do list, and actually we all like the look of our house when it's all clean and shiny and smells nice, don't we? As opposed to the complete opposite of all of those things.
And as always, I get to do the podcast. That always makes me smile.
How happy are we? Okay, well, I guess that's us for this week.
I think that's us for this week.
We'll be back soon. I don't know quite what with, actually. I'm not sure.
No, we've got quite a few subjects on the back burner at the moment that we haven't decided which one we're going to do.
Going on, so we'll be back very soon with a surprise. Shall we say that?
Yeah. Let's say that.
Okay, watch this space. We'll be back soon.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye. I have to crop the end there.